sort.
Yeah.
Drove over there, got a check for the car. Sold him the car overnight.
Overnight.
Came Monday morning, went to Regions Bank, put the money in the bank to be a partner in this business, 25%.
Wow.
Yeah.
Welcome to Owner's Table, where today we talk to Paul Shunnarah. Now, the interesting part about this podcast is we could have probably went on for 3 hours talking, but we stopped it at a certain amount of time. But the interesting thing is Paul is a direct competitor to the company that I own here in Birmingham. So he has a meal prep business, and so do I, and we're really the only two people that compete in this space in Birmingham. But we talked about the immigrant lifestyle that he kind of grew up in and how it has cost him to own multiple businesses. He owns real estate. He owns a gym. He's fascinating. And now he's just grinded it out. Now he has a family, and how that has changed and how he's shifted his day and how he's just being a great dad and how he used to go work, 12, 15 hours a day. He's not doing that anymore. It's good. It's a great episode. And I know you're going to enjoy hearing how he's been on that journey. All right. So, hey, welcome to Owner's Table today. So today we're talking to an interesting guest. And so Paul and I have known each other for a while, but the very, very interesting thing about Paul and I is we are direct competitors here in Birmingham. So there's really only two different companies in Birmingham that do meal prep.
Yeah, to my knowledge.
To my knowledge as well. So we own MealFit. He owns Fit5. The exact same business, but really, really different in a lot of ways as far as just the how we do things. So that's who we're talking to today. So there's going to be a lot of morals in this story today. So Paul, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah,
I'm so
absolutely.
glad to have you. So first question I always like to ask people is, so I know what you do. Okay. But why does it matter?
Why does it matter?
Why does it matter what you do?
So I fell in love with the idea of how fitness and health changed people's lives. Mm-hmm. Started working out at Iron Tribe in 2007-8 at the first location, the Humboldt.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So I was there right early on with all the initial guys that got it started. Yep. And for myself and the people there, I saw the change live. That marketing approach that they had at the time, which was, that fitness changed everything for people. Health changed everything for people. It changed how they handled money. It changed their relationship. It helped their values. It altered their medication, So coming from the Middle Eastern culture, it's not very common to see people take care of themselves.
No.
Especially like the generation that just, the first generation that came to America from the Middle East. So I saw growing up, I saw family members having heart attacks in their 40s.
Wow.
So, growing up, like now that I'm almost 40, I thought to myself, like, oh my God, like I'm almost at that age of people that I saw having heart attacks growing up. So I fell in love with health and wellness, fell in love with the idea that it changed you on all levels. And I'd owned a small business. So, the entrepreneurship side of me started kicking in. Mm-hmm. And then that led me into the path now. So 2007, so let's go back. So we know you own the meal prep company. So let's go back 2007 or even previous to that. What were you, let's do this. Let's go back. Were you born here in the States? Born and raised Birmingham.
Born and raised in the States. Where are your folks from?
My parents are from Jerusalem.
Both parents are from Jerusalem. That's great. So growing up, you grew up in Birmingham?
I grew up in Birmingham, South Side.
So tell me that journey of growing up, what the family life was like, what your parents were like. Give me the background.
That background? So my dad came here 1967. My mom came here 1970. I think my mom's from Baltimore, Maryland. His family came here. His dad came here first, my grandfather. Came here to make a living for the family, send the money back home. Mm-hmm. The war happened, 1967. All the Shunnarahs of what you know now started coming to America. So, born and raised in Southside, Glen Iris community, right by UAB. The entire family lived on the same street.
That's awesome.
We lived right here. My dad's brother lived to the left, and the other brother lived there.
Sure.
And then directly across the street, my dad's aunts and uncles, brothers and sisters. So we all grew up on the same road. We played in the yard together. Grew up, playing basketball in the backyard with your cousins.
So I guess the question that you get asked every day is, how are you related to the guy that's on every single billboard in the city of Birmingham, all the way up to Nashville, all the way down to the Panhandle? Are you related
to Georgia?
And Georgia. Yeah. How are you related to Alexander Shunnarah?
He's my second cousin.
Alexander Shunnarah, second cousin. Yeah. Okay, getting that out of the way.
Yeah.
So growing up there, what was life like? What did your dad do? Okay, so your parents didn't come to here together.
No, they met here. They met in Baltimore.
So I don't know anybody from Jerusalem.
Okay.
That's
awesome.
I didn't know anybody from there. So like they met here. What did they do for a living? And so what did you see? So I was in a coaching family. So all I saw from the time I was 5 was football. So what did you see growing up your parents doing, and then what did you gravitate to as far as just like the profession is concerned?
Okay, so when they got here, they didn't have an education. My dad didn't finish high school.
Okay.
My mom didn't go to college.
Okay.
So she got married at 18 and moved here from Baltimore. So we grew up where all of my family members were owning their own small business, grocery stores, car lots, car wash, car stereo, real estate. So I didn't even understand this idea of education really growing up. You know, I always joke that like at the dinner table, my dad, you know, when I was like ready to go into college, he's like, okay, what's that going to be like? Like, what does that mean? Are you going to be available to work for me?
Wow.
You know, because it was this, nobody was doing it. You know, we all bragged about the one cousin that went, which would be Alex, right? And more of the Shunnarah family that went in and got their degree, became accountants, lawyers.
See, that's so funny because like, and I don't want to draw stereotypes, but I'm going to draw stereotypes. So in Middle Eastern, there's a lot of Middle Eastern culture that like education is extremely important, correct?
It goes both ways. Yeah,
so it's usually one side or the other, depending on how those parents were raised in Jerusalem or in anywhere in the Middle East.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, like, so that wasn't very big for y'all.
No, not at all. Didn't think I was going to go to college. All my friends were doing it.
I hate to say this, all your white friends
all my white friends were doing it. Yeah, they were all getting up, packing their bags, and going to Alabama and Auburn. And I went to my dad about wanting to go to Auburn. He says, we can't afford it.
Yeah.
You know, you can go to school, assuming one thing, you get a job and you can go down there. And he suggested to me that I stay back for a semester.
Sure.
He said, just stay back, go to UAB. My grandmother lived in Southside. She still lived in the home that my dad and them came to when they first got here. Yeah. Wow. Tell me how fun college was when you're living with your 7-year-old grandmother who doesn't speak English. Yeah. And you were at UAB just
speak English.
No, she spoke maybe 20 words.
That's crazy.
Which is how I got into meal prep.
Yeah.
That'll come later. But so I lived with my grandmother for my first semester. Cried every day to my parents about the fact that all my friends were having the time of their life down in Alabama or Auburn, right? My dad would swear to me, look at the big picture, right? They're all possibly not going to graduate, possibly going to make their way back. You're going to create something for yourself while you're here. So I'm in my first semester at UAB, and my dad brings an opportunity to me, which was, he told me to go check my savings account, see how much I had in it, take the money out, bring it to him at the shop that he had at the time in Hoover, and that I was going to be a 10% owner of a stereo shop. So
how much money did you have in your savings?
$10,000.
That's pretty good at senior in high school. Or
freshman. Our graduations,
sure,
everybody gives cash, just like our weddings. I'm sure you heard the jokes. Yeah.
Yep.
So Italians do the same thing. Greeks would say yeah. So I had a little bit. I worked for Corey Watson, one of the best law firms in Alabama, here in Birmingham. Alex Shunnarah worked there too.
Okay.
So my cousins and I all worked as runners there. It's the only other job I'd ever had other than owning my own business.
So you worked as a runner for this lawyer, and then Dad says, "Come, give me your money, and you can be 10% owner." And what was it now?
It was called Appearance Car Audio. We did wheels, tires, window tint, stereo equipment on cars.
That's awesome.
And I loved it because I loved that industry. He was already in it, so I love the idea of like doing that stuff.
Yeah.
Pimp My Ride. You remember the TV show?
I know exactly. Exhibit ran the show.
Exhibit. Yeah.
Exactly.
So I thought like this is the coolest gig ever.
I haven't said the name Exhibit.
Probably
in 15 years.
Yeah, so, at least. Yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. So we started the shop with every bit of money I had. Right. It took off. We were crushing it. So
where was the shop? Downtown?
On Green Springs.
Oh, yeah, perfect.
Yeah. So we had the shop. I went to high school. A little backtrack. I went to high school at Vestavia, so it was just right down the road. So I had a lot of friends that helped us build it up because they were customers. And we had a killer base. We did some killer work. Had some of the best employees, best installers. That was my first management operational side of things. At 19, yeah.
That's incredible.
You should see my notebooks from college. I'd sit in the middle of class, and I'm in my business program at UAB. I graduated with an undergrad at UAB, and teachers got whatever it is on the board, and I'm out there with my notebook doing inventory, pricing strategies. Okay, if I sell this speaker for $99 and it costs me $55, this is my markup. Okay, but if I drop the price of the speaker, I could probably get them to buy the amp that goes with it. And I would just sit there and do this stuff.
Just think of
Just
stuff.
Google. Yeah, just doodle. Not Google, but just doodle in class.
Wow.
I used to get in so much trouble in high school because that's what I was caught doing. And
So when you did, so where did you transition from the car audio thing? Like you own this, so like 10% owner, that's pretty good equity for a 19-year-old. So where did that go?
So I made, like you said, I made good money. At the time, I was probably one of my only friends with money, and I lived with my grandmother, so I had no bills.
Expenses.
Yeah, my dad told me, let's just run this business, take care of your grandmother. They had the fear of her falling.
Sure.
So they said
it's the whole culture of taking care of your
taking care of your elders. Yeah, 100%. It's a cultural thing.
Yeah.
So he asked me to stay there, look out for her. Well, what I didn't enjoy at the time was being 18, 19, 20 years old and living the college life, but then going home to a elderly woman who didn't speak English, who was, feeding me, taking care of me, making my bed, making sure my clothes were out and so forth. What was so great for me was she was cooking my meal prep for me.
Yeah.
So a funny story, she used to ask me every day what I wanted to eat. Every day I ate the same thing. Chicken, rice, and broccoli, or a burger patty with rice and broccoli. Breakfast was eggs, bread.
So that's not normal for a college kid. So why did you want to tilt towards the traditional bodybuilder food? Like extremely bland, or extremely not bland, but just extremely just plain.
Yeah.
Why did you tilt towards that? Was it like
all the friends?
Was fitness still a part of your life?
That was it was definitely a part of my life at the time. It was what I did at night. It was my out. It was my vice. So I used to go.
Your hobby was fitness.
Yeah, my hobby was fitness or business.
Yeah.
So 6 a.m. I'm at my stereo shop. I'd meet my installer. We'd have breakfast at my uncle's restaurant right next door, the Baskets. It used to be on Green Springs, if you remember it. We'd have breakfast every morning there at 6 a.m. We worked Monday through Saturday. Wake up, go there, go to work, leave work at about 10:30, drive to my grandmother's house, grab my bag, eat my lunch, run out to class, be at UAB till about 1 o'clock. I'd go back to the stereo shop, finished out my day, went to class from 4:30 to 7 at night, and then I went over to AC Fitness, if you remember.
I do.
In Vestavia, that was a big gym at the time, Andrews.
Yeah.
So worked out there, then UAB my senior year built the new facility at the big rec center, so then I'd start working out there.
What years were you there?
Let's see, I graduated from Vestavia 03, so 03 to 08.
So we missed each other by a year.
Just by a year or two.
Okay.
I was there right after Hackney.
So Daryl and I played together for 2 years, and then when I left, Sam Hunt came in.
Okay, so I went to school then with Dan Burks and Curtis Fellaini. That's who were with me. They were a year above me.
So I know Dan really, really well. Dan and I played together for a year or 2 years.
Okay, so I thought you were out by then.
My last season was 02.
Was 02. Okay, so he was a freshman.
Yeah.
And you were a senior.
It may have been 2 years. I don't think it was 2 years, because I can't remember if Dan and Daryl came at the same time. Anyway, so you do this for 4 years in the car shop.
Yep.
Is your dad involved with this thing at all?
He slowly walked out.
Are you gaining equity at the time?
Nope, stayed at 10%.
Okay, so for everybody,
Do you know my dad yet?
Huh? What now?
Do you know my dad yet?
What? No, I don't.
Yeah, I only got 10%.
So this is something I feel I need to stop and explain sometimes. So when he talks about equity, he gave $10,000 to own 10% of the company, which that gives the company an evaluation of 100 grand. Dad either felt like that was a number he pulled out of his butt, or
that's what he thought it'd take to fix it up.
What he thought it'd take. So would take 100,000. It'd be worth $100,000.
Right.
So you're building this thing as you go. Okay. He's slowly backing out of it.
He slowly started focusing more on real estate, and he let me run it day to day. So he stepped out probably a couple years in. He stepped out. Me and my cousin George and my cousin Issa, we ran it day to day.
So when you're saying a couple years, you're still sophomore in college.
I fired my first employee before I was 21.
Wow.
Yeah. One of the hardest things I've ever had to do.
Yeah, it's horrible.
Yeah.
So you start do this the whole time through college. And then where do we go?
So then in, so 08, 09, went through a real bad breakup, as you think at the time when you're in college.
Yeah.
Went through a real bad breakup, was going out a lot around town, met a lot of people, and decided I wanted to own a bar. I'd made good money.
So you're 23. 23 years old.
23 years old when I signed.
Okay, so you still own the car shop.
The car shop.
What do you do how do you transition into doing that?
So I had the car shop, and then as I had the car shop, I started looking around to open a restaurant and bar around town. Visited different places that were available. I had this idea at the beginning, like a Miami style, urban bar that played good music, whatever. Slowly figured out real quickly, like that wasn't going to work in Birmingham, and we came up with a neighborhood grill idea, just opening up a little neighborhood spot.
So I got into food, not by accident, but kind of by default, and obviously it was through fitness. So how did you go from car stereos to, hey, I want to own a restaurant?
And why, right?
Yeah, and why? Well, in people's defense that open restaurants, they don't know restaurants unless they've been in them, because restaurants are extremely difficult.
Biggest mistake I made was not working for one before I opened. The 3-4 years of mistakes and money lost, I would say, biggest mistake I ever made.
Wow. So if you're somebody out there that wants to own a restaurant,
go serve, go bartend, go book,
do everything.
Go work every aspect. Work back at the house, clean the dishes, figure it all out. Because my employees were able to take advantage of me for the first 3 or 4 years. They were able to tell me, oh yeah, this is how you do it. No,
because they saw somebody.
Because that was better for them.
Sure.
This is how you should schedule, because it worked in their favor. How do you tell a cook that that's not right if you didn't know how to cook?
You never done it before.
You never done it before. Keep in mind, I was 23, 24.
Yeah.
So they're like, this kid doesn't know what he's doing. Second employee I ever fired was like my first year in, was my chef at the restaurant.
Wow.
And his exact words to me, one of the reasons why I let him go was, buddy, you're never going to make it in this industry. That was a conversation
That's
that he
what
had.
Said?
Yeah.
Wow. See, when we started doing actual food, it was just me. But I did not start a restaurant. I was doing meal prep out of a guy's kitchen. And
for your friends?
Yeah. Had eight meal prep people the first time we did it. You'll love this.
And you thought you were onto something.
Yeah. But I also had the meal planning part of it.
Okay. So the meal planning first.
Now, let me say this. The meal planning part of it was carrying everything. It was
interesting.
So this is back in 2012, 2013.
Nutrition was starting to gain weight.
It was CrossFit was getting big, nutrition,
paleo,
all that. And so zone, paleo.
Yeah.
So we had a zone menu.
Okay.
Yeah, back when no one does zone anymore.
No.
So we had zone. But when I was working at the church, the first year, when I just randomly did meal plans, I made $8,000 the first year. The second year,
jotting down and emailing somebody what to eat.
That's it.
Did you keep them accountable?
No.
It was strictly just, here's what you do.
It was the same menu.
To each person.
Everybody got the same menu. The second year, we made 80. Just doing meal plans.
So I'm assuming from there, somebody says, well, can you cook it for me?
That's it. So all the hot moms in Cookeville were like, hey, I'm not going to buy your meal plan, but if you made the food, I would buy it. And so I would do the meal plan. Then the next week I would make some of that food for them, and that would be meal prep. So where you and I are different is I made something different every week, because I felt like people wanted variety. But what we did that was wrong on the front end is I made everything family style. So you got a half pan, and it was protein, vegetables, and starch. It was all in the same pan.
You covered the macros, but you did it family style.
Bro, we didn't even do macros.
I remember that.
My thing was not macros. My thing was
better for you.
I want to make your life easier and healthier.
Smart.
And I've always thought, and I still believe this, if you can just eat real food, you will be fine.
Stop overcomplicating it.
Don't overcomplicate it.
Yeah.
If you can just eat real food, what is real food? If you can eat if you eat food items with one ingredient,
right,
you are gonna be
shop the outside aisles of the grocery store.
That whole theory, and we've not varied from that a bunch, but you've
had some fun. You threw some things in,
but we've pivoted a lot as far as, because we were doing half pans. That was it. That was meal prep.
Ashley Mack style.
That's right.
There in the street.
What's the girl in Trustful?
Mills by Misty.
Mills by Misty.
Yeah.
That thought. Now, it wasn't frozen. It was you always picked it up, but that's what
which was probably the difference maker.
Sure.
Right?
And we did that for a long time, and then we pivoted to all that.
Individualized meals.
We did, but we didn't do that.
So you had no chef background?
Zero.
You just, they said, cook this, and you said, I know what this is, I can do it.
But for 2 years though, Paul, I did the meal plans for people. So here's what happened. The meal plans went out on Friday. So what did we do Saturday to Thursday?
You say we.
Me and my family. I made that for dinner for my family.
Okay.
And sometimes it sucked. It was bad. My wife's like, this is freaking horrible. And so we obviously didn't put that on the menu. And so I would make it that week, do the ingredients, put it in the email, and that was the meal plan that week. So what you got on Friday, I ate the 5 days previous. So I cooked so much for 2 years. I cooked all the time. And then when we pivoted and started doing meal prep, I didn't have a food background. But here's what I tell people all the time, and you will probably agree with this because you don't have a food background either.
Business is in my blood.
If you have common sense and you can read a recipe, you can cook.
Right. I actually find it funny now when people like struggle with the cooking side of things because I'm like, we have YouTube, we have Pinterest. Like, it's all there in front of you. I grew up when you had to ask your friend in the gym, what are you eating? How are you cooking? What's batch cooking?
We got all these things. So YouTube wasn't even a thing back when I was doing it.
No, it definitely wasn't. Yeah.
So that's kind of the way we did it. So getting back to you, so you go and open this restaurant, and so you're working this thing. So when you're doing restaurant, you're also doing car at the same time?
Oh yeah.
Doing both.
Yeah. So my best friend and I and my brother-in-law, this idea of owning the restaurant and the bar was we just were having fun going out in the city, and the boom of the new restaurant scene was happening.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
So we timed it in one way. What led me to where we opened it, Dowd off Lakeshore, because everybody thought it was crazy. I opened in the middle of nowhere at the time. Now it's got everything it needs out there, right? There's a Publix, you got Robert Trent Jones, which was out there anyways, but Ross Bridge.
Well, that was in a road when I was a kid. So I used to go from Bessemer to Wildwood. Remember Wildwood?
Oh yeah.
Going to the movies at Wildwood. I went to Bessemer to Wildwood. There was one single lane road going through there.
Well, you know what they did there in the early 2000s? It's Fast and Furious. That was the road people raced on.
I was going.
They got in all that trouble in the late 90s, early 2000s. That's what people did there.
Wow.
Yeah, so the cars we'd fix up, we'd be putting exhaust pipes for people to go down there and
race. Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you got the restaurant with some family that go back to the immigrant lifestyle thought process.
Yeah.
And then you also...
Because my dad at this point had opened multiple businesses. He'd gotten into real estate. And so just learning from him, I mean, anybody in my family member, my cousin Z, I got to brag about him for a second. This was my dad's business partner at one of his other stereo shops. And we'd go play golf together, and we didn't have golf talk. We had business talk. Yeah. And I'm 12, 13, 14 years old at the time when he'd take me out to golfing. And it was, percentage of sales, how to market, how to manage, how to finance. What people were learning in college, I was touching and getting people's input early on.
Yeah.
And so when you grow up in our family, it's in your blood. It's just what you get spoken.
It's what you hear all the time.
It's what you hear all the time.
So all I heard was football.
All you heard was football and coaching.
That's all I heard. Because from the time I was 5, I knew that's what I was going to do.
Be a coach.
That's it.
See, mine was buy and sell. I was ever taught the word buy and sell.
No clue. Zero clue. So this is why it's so odd. My mom looks at me, and she looked at me the other day. She goes, I have no idea how you've done what you've done. Because both parents were school teachers. Dad was a football coach, and that's all we did.
So coaching, I guess, led you to your understanding of management.
I tell people this all the time. The 10 years I spent coaching college football, the number of lessons I learned there are astronomical. I can get in front of a crowd of any number and give a presentation off the cuff. I can talk about anything. I can walk into any room and meet people, meet strangers, because I had to do it twice a year recruiting. I had to go into a high school, find Coach Jones, who'd never met me before. Hey, Coach, how are you? Good to see you. And I had to make him like me. I had to do this with kids. I had to do this with parents. And I had to stand up in front of a room every day and convince 15 300-pound linemen that I knew what I was talking about. And I had to communicate to them.
And protect you.
Yeah, and I had to communicate. Well, no, as a coach, I had to communicate to them what to do. So I had to learn in the morning, stand up every day in an offensive line meeting, coach those kids and teach those kids, and then go out and apply it every day.
What age group was this?
This was college, when I was coaching college.
This was college.
Yeah, so I was coaching college kids, and so a
tough age to be in, to first be adapted to?
It's all about the kid that you recruit. So that's why the recruiting process is so important, because you are gonna spend so much time with those kids, especially if I recruited an offensive lineman and I was gonna coach him for 4 years. So the type of kids that you had to sit there and go, okay, this guy's a heck of a player, but he's a royal turd. I don't wanna spend 4 years with this guy. Or this guy's so good, I think I can handle the fact that he's a turd. Does that make sense? Yeah. So that's what you had to do. But the lessons I learned during coaching
is what led you down.
Is what it gave me the soft skills to be able to to make it in business? Because there's so many soft skills in business of meeting people, talking to people. You and I could walk into any bar in Birmingham, and in 2 hours, we'd have 5 friends.
Right.
Both of us, because we both have got those skills. I learned mine coaching. You learned yours doing business.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you're in the restaurant business and you're doing the car audio. Where do you transition from there as far as the next business? Do you sell one? What are we doing there?
Okay. So the restaurant was, you asked, like, did I have a background in cooking?
Yeah.
No. The culture does in so many ways, right? Like,
sure.
But I fell in love with the speed of it. I fell in love with the idea of cooking and enjoyment and, having people in. So I opened a bar and grill over time, 2009.
Now, was it a spot? Was it our existing spot? Because Luke and I talk about this all the time. Was it an existing spot, or it did not exist?
There was gravel floor in the building.
Okay, perfect.
The way I was able to do it at a young age was the landlord was willing to take a chance. The shopping center was vacant. There was nothing out there yet at this time on Lakeshore. There was only one apartment complex, still no gas stations even at that time.
Wow.
The only thing there was all the offices all across the street. Train, Cook's Pest Control, Hibbett Sports.
I know where they are, yeah.
So they were all across the street. And so he told me, look, there's a lunch business out here that can guarantee you probably stay alive. What's going to define whether or not you make money is your nighttime business. So we were like, bars keep people at night. 24-year-old mindset, right? Yes, a bottle of beer, go to the gas station, get a 6-pack for $7, and they sell it for $3-4 at a bar.
Sure.
God, look at that money. Look at that margin.
Tons of margin.
You're just going to print it. That was the mindset, right? So we built out the bar, opened up. All my friends and family started. They kept us going, right? They were the reason why I was able to sustain 6 months, 8 months, because there's still nothing out there.
They're all coming to support.
They're all coming to support you, right? Biggest lesson I had to learn was your friends and family can only get you so far in business.
Sure.
If your friends now tell you, you're a great writer, go out and write a book, probably don't listen to them.
Yeah.
Because they're not going to be the ones that keep you. They're not going to be the ones that buy the book.
They're not going to buy so many copies.
Yeah. I couldn't tell you how many Fit 5 customers are friends and family at this point, right?
Yeah.
So had the restaurant, went through several obstacles with it. So one was operating both companies, a booming stereo shop and a up and coming, trying to grow a bar, right? Couple things that changed it for me. My dad came to me after a couple of years in and was like, you got to cut the fun, right? You owe me so much money for building this out. You put up a lot of money yourself. You've been working your butt off.
Had you paid him back anything at the time?
Oh yeah. I wasn't able to miss a single payment. He wouldn't let me.
Wow.
$4,000 a month.
How long did he finance that for?
48 months. And I was hoping the last check that I took him, I was hoping he'd let me keep.
He wouldn't.
Took it from me.
Wow.
He wanted to teach me the lessons. A bank won't.
No, bank's not going to do that.
Yeah.
Okay, so you borrowed money. So are you the only owner in Overtime?
No. So he was a partner. He kept a little bit of equity, and then my brother-in-law.
So what did he put up any money?
He did. Yeah. So he put up a little bit too.
So you put up some. He put up some. Dad put up some.
Dad
what was the split as far as equity is concerned?
So it was me and my brother-in-law were 40-40, and then my dad was 20. So how it all even came to evolve to have my dad involved was I thought that you could build this bar for $100,000, and I had 80. I thought I could put up the money myself. The money started dwindling.
Yeah.
And I didn't have a restaurant yet. A kitchen, is $100K.
A kitchen. When I was leaving Cookeville, the place across the street was building a nice restaurant. The kitchen was $140,000.
Yeah. And now
it had a building.
I was going to say, and now that won't get you anywhere.
No.
But like the POS system that we had, restaurant manager, I think that tied in with the cameras was like $18K. Well, now it's an iPad. Now it's a Square system. So I ran out of money, went to my dad. It's like, hey.
Okay, so you ran out of money. Your dad didn't give money initially.
Nope. I was going to do it all myself.
Oh, okay. So
23-year-old mindset.
So he gave you some money, and then
we finished it out.
He had to give you some equity.
He had to give him some equity and then pay him back with interest. Fixed payment, $4,000 a month. So I paid him off with 10%.
Okay.
Built into it. So we got it going. He came, had that conversation with me, said, hey, let's make this thing work, right? Or let's get rid of it. You don't need to be working 60, 70 hours a week and making no money. And I mean making no money, I don't think I took a paycheck.
No.
I might have took a couple $100 here and there.
Yeah.
Or I'd have to bartend. So when people thought what's the owner doing bartending? Well, the owner needed money.
The owner needed money.
Right.
Needed the tips.
I needed the tips. I needed cash too.
Right.
The only thing that saved me was that I had lived with my grandmother for so long. That's the thing that kept me. And then I had my payroll from my other company.
Let me say this. So I've told kids this. I say kids, anybody in their 20s. So what helped me financially so much is when I graduated from college, I lived with my dad for 2 years.
Something that most people weren't willing to do.
They're not willing to do it because it's like a step back. But I made $35,000 a year teaching high school, and then I'll clean buildings at night. I didn't have any expenses. And so that
money was going in the bank.
Socked it away. And so when we transitioned into a new life, I had a cushion there. And that cushion stayed with me because I didn't have to touch it as we had made more money. And so when I decided, this is crazy, Paul, but 10 years after, when I decided to transition out of college coaching, I had that money that had just kept growing steadily that was in the market or whatever.
You just weren't even paying attention.
You weren't even paying attention to it because I saved so much in those 2 years, but that's exactly what you did.
Yeah.
People aren't willing to do that. And I tell people.
I didn't have to cook my food. My grandmother had it.
That's nuts. That's great though.
No power bill.
Yeah.
You know.
So you, in restaurant, dad gives you the extra money, y'all get it. What made it start going?
So I like to think it to this. So couple apartment complexes came.
Absolutely.
In the area. So it was a luck opportunity that fell into my lap where these apartment complexes were coming, construction workers were piling in. So my bar business started booming.
Okay.
But my lunch business wasn't there.
Okay.
So I loved marketing, always have. My degree's in marketing. So I started doing a little bit of background research of the restaurant industry, and I came across the idea that what we were struggling with was that we were called a bar, Overtime Bar and Grill.
Okay.
The sign on the wall said bar, the girls wore shirts that said bar, your ticket when you checked out said bar.
Okay.
We rebranded, changed the name to Overtime Grill.
Okay, so let's go back. What made you transition to change it? What was the thing that said, we got to change?
My dad noticed that financially, month over month, year over year, he'd say, okay, yeah, you've grown 10%, but your cost of business has grown by 9%. You're only yielding an additional 1% per year. What are we doing here?
Sure.
Because he looked at me as like, obviously being his son, he looked and said, man, I just don't like seeing you burn yourself out. This is what we did when we came to America. We worked 60, 70 hours a week so you don't have to.
Yeah.
There's got to be something better for you.
The lesson, one of the lessons is he was you were emotional about the thing.
And he was.
He was not emotional about the thing. He looked at the numbers. And the numbers don't lie.
No. And that's his quote to today.
And it's super, and you should be, I know you are, extremely thankful for having him say, hey bro, this is what this is. So he was the catalyst to telling you that?
Yeah. I should be on here. Reality is you should be talking to him. If my dad could do it, my dad needs to be in all the media publications around town.
So what did he say? What was the thing that he said to make you change the name?
Every time that I was, just every weekend when we'd hang out, every lunch we'd have, it would be the same conversation. Boo, what are you doing? You own a bar.
Yeah.
At this point now I'm 26, 27. He's like, in our culture, people marry early, right? So he's like, maybe this is a problem.
Yeah.
We don't see you at church.
Wow.
Because you're tired. How could you be at church? You own a bar, you're out late night on Saturdays.
Yeah.
Right? So he basically brings up to me, financially, this just didn't make any sense. We were making money over here at the stereo shop. Real estate wise, I was on my second home purchase. And he's like, man, let's just sell this thing and you come with me. Let's go build up more properties. And so changing the name turned it around. It was this craziest thing. As the apartment complexes got up, we started having trivia night instead of dollar beer night. Trivia night brought in people to eat dinner, spend money on food, versus the bar business is as much margins as people think. People are blowing up, going crazy now that there's $10, $12, $13 drinks at some of these famous popular bars downtown. They're still not just banking it.
Yeah.
Right? There's still, some of them are probably barely covering at that.
Sure.
The margins are just not as good as people think when you count in labor and all the fixed costs you have. So he discusses that with me. We spent 3 or 4 months changing. We painted the place. We brought in boots. And I did all this myself, right? I couldn't get the money from him.
No.
There's no way. He would go, more money? You need more money to do this new idea that you think is going to fix this thing? Yeah. So I had to finance it all myself. Credit cards, sell cars, everything from what I had at home, get rid of.
Did you have anything in savings that would have bailed you out of something if you needed to?
And sometimes I did. Sometimes throughout the year, I'd have $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 in the bank. Sometimes at the end of the year, I'd have $5,000 in the bank.
Wow. Okay.
Depends on how business was going.
So as we were talking off camera, you talked about the two things that blew my mind. That changing the name from Overtime Bar and Grill to Overtime, it's Cafe?
Overtime Grill.
Overtime Grill. The two things, you talked about parents. And you talked about businesses.
Yeah.
So kind of unpack that for us a little bit, because my mind was blown when you said that, because that's when you said the business just not exploded, but you said it.
Oh, my lunch business was we turned the tables twice in 2 hours.
Wow. So go ahead and explain those two things that just opened my eyes.
So by changing the name, the first thing was your credit card. So if you had a company credit card and you were allowed to eat out, or you're allowed to take me out to lunch, your company would not allow you to take you to a bar. Right?
That's crazy.
And a lot of people don't understand this, but a company can't be liable for you and I drinking together.
Sure.
But a company can be liable for you and I to go to have a burger. So I lost the ability. So if all these people that worked across from me wanted to take an employee out, a salesman out, somebody from out of town out for lunch, they had to leave and go down to McAllister's. They can go to Hooters, but they couldn't come to Paul's place. Hooters was like a mile down the road.
Yeah, sure.
So I lost that lunch business. So we pivoted that. We put weekly specials on the table.
Okay.
We started doing a little bit more home cooking, shrimp and grits, pastas.
Sure.
We got a little bit away from the bar food. So instead of it just being wings, burgers, sandwiches, we started having more where if you were sitting across the street, you can get like a plated lunch.
Yeah.
Kept it affordable. So that was a couple of things. Built out a big patio, upgraded the TVs so that we can increase the sports environment. Made NFL Sunday a big thing. We hosted birthday parties. My cousins will joke to you today that I'd go around town and be like, Thomas, when's your birthday?
Yeah.
And you'd say it and be like, okay, you ought to throw a party over at Overtime. And then, I may or may not be there.
That's awesome.
Just to get it crowded.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
So you start doing that. That starts making, do you start making money at this?
I started able to pay myself.
Okay.
That was it. Still not making money.
How long into owning it did you make this change and start being able to pay yourself?
Year 5.
Year 5.
By year 3, the statistic.
Yeah. By year 3, 90% or 80% don't make it. And by year 4, the 90% of those don't make it.
Don't make it, yeah.
So the fact that you're still in business is wonderful.
Yeah.
So
good team.
You start to grow, and then where do you transition to from there as you're being able to pay yourself?
So as I'm able to pay myself, I had an opportunity. So I was doing CrossFit at Iron Tribe.
Okay.
Hurt my shoulder. Started doing therapy at D1.
Okay. Great gym.
Great gym, yeah. As I'm doing my therapy on my shoulder, the guy mentions to me, what are you going to do when it comes to fitness? You obviously can't go back to CrossFit. I said, I've always wanted to box. I've always wanted to kickbox, but I don't want to fight.
Okay.
And he goes, oh, you ought to go see Master Sharam. He does this workout in a basement in a house in Cabo Heights with his brother-in-law, Aaron Crocker. And Aaron was one of the original.
Crocker moving?
No.
Okay.
No. Aaron Crocker was at Iron Tribe.
Okay.
Early on. So he says they do this workout in the basement. Okay. Come to find out, David and Aaron were eating lunch at my uncle's restaurant. And one of my best employees, her name was Rose. Rose had been working for us for years. Rose said, Paul, you need to meet these guys. They come into the restaurant and they're working on this business called The Gauntlet. It's going to be a kickboxing gym, They're doing it out of the basement of home. I'm like, I've heard about this guy. I heard he does it in Cabo Heights. Yeah. I go and visit Master Sharam. He pulls out a projector screen and pitches me this idea of a gym called The Gauntlet. And I fell in love with it. It had everything that I was already in love with health and wellness. Because during the bar, during my later years of it, after year 4 and 5, I got back into fitness and I started using the bar to make my meals. And then I started working out at the Rossbridge gym right down the road. So I would actually leave the bar 8, 9 o'clock at night and go work out.
Oh my gosh.
I'd get texts from my buddies, hey, come back down. I'm like, nah, man, I'm here. Yeah, I'm here, I'm working out. So I meet with them and they said, here's the problem. They said, we got to open this place up. We have to at least sign the lease within the next 3 weeks. And we need some money. They needed, right at $200K, one of the partners already had 50.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, yeah. So I had a little bit of cash.
Okay.
And I was driving a Mercedes S550.
Okay, I'm gonna ask this question. Why were you driving an S550?
Young, had the stereo business. I had stopped driving a nicer car for a while I was getting the restaurant going. But I grew up on that at the stereo shop, all the owners and the employees had cool cars.
So it was almost like a quote unquote expense for you.
Yeah.
You rationalize it that way.
Yeah. It had the wheels, the tires, the stereo shop.
Wow.
It was for work, right?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have a little money and then you have this nice, probably $100,000 car.
Well, no, it was used, probably 45, 50K.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So then what happened?
So I go out that night, and so I met David on a Friday. I met him at the building, saw it, went over the business plan, fell in love with it.
Homewood?
In Homewood,
yeah.
And said, I can get you the money. Right. So I called a guy that I knew, a German friend of mine that was looking to build a second overtime. And I said, hey, we need to pivot. I'm going to get into this gym. You want to get in? He says, yeah, man, I'm all in on whatever you're doing.
Relationships,
people, right? And how I knew him was from the bar. Just hung out together.
Restaurant.
Yeah. Change gears here. So then I'm going out that night to go to Tin Roof, and a buddy of mine was a security guard there. And he said, man, I love your car. I pulled up right in front of it. I said, yeah, I got to sell the thing. He said, why? I said, I'm going to invest in this business. It's paid for. I need to get the cash back out. We went to the Birmingham police station the very next day. And then we drove over to Birmingham. I think the police station has like a credit union or some sort.
Yeah.
Drove over there, got a check for the car. Sold him the car overnight. Came Monday morning, went to Regions Bank, put the money in the bank to be a partner in this business, 25%.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you bought in at 25%.
My other buddy bought in 25.
Okay.
25 and 25.
And the other guys.
Yeah.
Okay, so how did it, so this is still going. What year was this?
2010, 11, 12? Yeah, 2011.
I had no idea you'd had that gym that long.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so
all under 30.
So you've owned 3 businesses under 30 years old. You have the restaurant, it's got going back on its feet. It's paying
operating itself at this point.
So you bought this gym.
So
then what?
Oh man. So it didn't work. The first gym didn't work. The first partnerships didn't work.
Okay.
So out of the 4 of us, we dwindled to 2 within 2 years.
Did y'all have a gym period?
Barely.
Okay. What'd you do?
30 members.
Okay.
So we had a lot of things go wrong. We overspent at the very beginning.
Mm-hmm.
So
buying stuff, buying
stuff, yeah. Spending too much, just unnecessary. The pro forma for the business allocated so much money to certain things that we didn't
go to it. Yeah. Okay.
So my partner, the German guy, he left. He wanted nothing to do with it. Said this was a bad idea from day one.
Okay, so let's talk through this because a lot of people don't understand this. In that, the German guy, we'll just call him German guy. The German guy that gave you 50 grand. Dave, how much you
50 grand.
He gave you $50,000. In that investment, when the gym failed and he's out, he didn't get any money back, did he?
Nope.
It was just a lost investment.
It was a lost investment.
All right. So
what would he get? There was nothing to get.
No doubt. So
we owed on rent. We owed on insurance. So I wasn't there. I was strictly an investor. I'm over at the restaurant. I started getting phone calls about how it was going. So at the time, I wasn't a personal trainer or anything. Yeah. I just went to the class.
Here's the money go. Y'all got it.
Yeah.
Master Sensei or whatever.
This is what my dad was doing. This is what the family was doing. We were investing in
the whole Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, you're in the investor quadrant.
That's it.
Got it. Yeah. Okay, so you didn't buy a job, you were being an investor. Great. So they run the business. I say run the business to the ground. It didn't survive. Then what? Because it's
so what happened was we got the one out, we got the other one out, and then myself and David Master Sharam, we sat down and looked at each other, and we realized at this point we had a beautiful building. We had everything we needed. We just needed to catch up on rent. We needed to pay off the insurance company. And
just because you didn't know, just back insurance payments.
It was literally canceled. Shannon Walchek calls us up. Hey, you're going to have to start figuring out how we're going to get this money on this rent.
Wow.
These are the stories people don't understand about small business. Like I'm going to sleep at night knowing like I owe $7,000 tomorrow. Where do you just wake up and get that kind of money?
Yeah.
So, anyways, we sat together and we said, look, he said to me, do you still think this is where? I said, I never thought it wasn't. The partnership was not good. We didn't have a good standing and we did not build it on a good foundation. We all didn't trust each other at the very beginning. And look where the money went. So let's sit down and let's go over this. At this point, I had successfully ran 2 businesses. So in my head.
Successfully ran 2 businesses.
Right.
That's the thing that I think people don't understand is you're probably built like an operator. Do you think that?
I think that all day long, right? Like I go into a place and my brain works a certain way. How many tables and chairs fit in the building?
So you were an investor. Now you and Master Sherman sit down and
say, let's operate it together.
Okay.
Help me out here.
Yeah.
So we only had a few classes a week. So we did so many things. We brought in new trainers, the who, not how idea, right? Like, so we went from us teaching every class to let's bring in the right people to teach the class. Changed up the workouts. Had more fun, themed the classes, right? 90s night, all that stuff. Built it back up. Got it to where we were sold out. We had no more space in the space that we were in. We were very small, but it was like 2,200 square feet. It was right on the corner of 280. And so David and I, once again, had to look at each other and say, what are we going to do here?
What's next?
Right, what's next? We can only fit in 14, 15 per class, and every class was sold out. We had 5 to 6 classes a day.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it was a hell of a turnaround. An even better turnaround comes later.
Were you making any money?
We were paying ourselves.
Okay, great.
In small business, sometimes that is making money.
It is.
More than people think.
It is. For sure. If you're paying yourself, like I know a girl that owns a restaurant here in town. She's owned it since late 2020, early 2021. She's yet to pay herself.
Yeah, I've heard multiple stories like that.
So, okay, I'm sorry. So go ahead.
And
so you're paying yourselves.
So we're paying ourselves, very nominal.
Yeah.
Just to teach class, right? My business partner puts up his land. He had inherited some land from his dad. And my business partner, keep in mind, today is 72 years old. At the time was in his 60s. So you got a 6-year-old and a 30-year-old, right?
Oh, man.
Yeah, so Ari, who you know, Ari, Hobson Ray.
Yeah.
So you got Ari coming and sitting. She was our marketing company. She's sitting with Paul and she's sitting with David. And she's trying to say, okay, guys, we really need to clean this up. Can you two see this? And David, this is where he was amazing. David was a minister and David was a music teacher and he was in the military. So David basically says, you guys are the young ones. You guys, you tell me what to do and we'll do it.
Yeah.
And so we rebranded. We got away from the fight look that we had and went very much softer. Mm-hmm. That's when we changed the logo once again to the overtime thing, rebranded, kind of cleaned it up. And so a building came available for us a block over. It was a warehouse that Dunn Construction owns.
I know exactly what it is.
That building was 3,000 square feet with an additional adjacent building that was like another 1,500 square feet. And so we worked out a deal to get out of our lease. Physical therapy studio came in at Therapy South.
Okay.
We packed up our bags.
You were at where the physical therapy is.
Now.
I know exactly where it is. Okay.
So the building was perfect.
I remember there. I remember that location because I remember
driving by there.
Killer location.
Yeah, we did.
Super small though.
Super small. What we didn't realize was that by moving into the warehouse down the road, we didn't realize how many people had that I drove by you. I at least know what you are. Once we moved, we lost all of that. I've been driving by for 2 years. I want to check this thing out. We lost all that. We had to spend so much more money marketing because we were in an alleyway.
And it was 200 yards.
That's it. Right behind Stryker.
Yeah, I know exactly.
Behind the new little donkey and all that. So David and myself, I had just sold my restaurant. Okay. And I guess we got to take a step back. Let's bring in Fit 5. Okay. So as you probably know, right, one of the biggest obstacles that gyms have is that the clients, they learn the workout, they do the workout, they show up, but they don't know what to do with it. They don't have the nutrition dialed in. So we found this girl that was cooking and delivering food to your business. So we all at the gym, about 8 or 10 of us, was using this lady out of a restaurant downtown, and she was literally bringing us bagged lunches.
Who was it?
I can't remember her name at the time.
Not important.
The problem with it was it wasn't macro. Okay, it wasn't on the training level of food.
Okay,
it wasn't high calories. It wasn't high protein. It was just that she cooked for you. So
let's go back to this. Let's talk about philosophically. You've mentioned this a couple times in our conversation. You are a macro guy as far as this much protein. You think that that's extremely important, correct? I think it's best for you to understand macros at least at the beginning so you know where things come from. Okay, but the struggle that I see with people now is like you say, hey, I want you to do high protein. Well, where do I start? What is high? Do I eat chicken all day? Yeah. No, there's other things, right? How often, how much, where are you getting it from? Yeah. How big are you? How big are you? What's your activity? All that. Yeah. So I don't think you weigh everything for the next 20 years. I believe in 80-20, right? Somewhat you said earlier, just shopping the outside aisles, eating Whole Foods. Yeah. But so we were using this girl, and I myself noticed I'm not full, and I'm the smallest guy in here, so I started cooking meals out of overtime. Somebody had said to me, cooking meals for who? The people in the gym? People for the gym.
Yeah, my own employees, clients. So it was so funny because so many people had said this to me. They're like, Paul, you own a restaurant. Like, why are you teaching us how to do this stuff? Just make it for us. And in my head, I'm like, oh, it's easier said than done, right?
Very much so. Got
on Instagram. Sure enough, this whole thing of meal prepping was this huge trend. Hashtag meal prep Sundays. You probably remember that one early on.
Sure.
So I started looking into this, and then I went to Restaurant Depots right down the road. I bought plastic containers. I had 2 employees that had already approached me about wanting to make more money. And I said, the only way we can make more money is by increasing sales or doing outside ventures like catering. I tried catering. It wasn't for us. We didn't have it down. Kitchen wasn't big enough. And so we came up with, I said, listen, I've got this idea. I don't know how it's going to go, but I have about 15, 20 people, and I can put it on social media, maybe get us more, and we start cooking for people, making meals for them.
Yeah.
So 2 Spanish guys, one of my best friends named Nick, he worked at the gym, and myself, we'd meet up there every Sunday morning. This started my early morning routine.
Yeah.
5, 6 a.m., we'd meet up there, get the ovens going. Overtime was closed, and we'd start cooking food. Basic. As basic as you get.
Chicken,
rice, broccoli. Turkey burger, mashed sweet potatoes, green beans. That's how we stayed, right? We started making the meals, and all we were doing was putting it on Instagram and Facebook. Check this out. Snapchat was popular at the time. And I knew I had something because when I would post about the bar, I'd post about the gym, I may get a few replies. When I started posting about meal prepping, my phone was blowing up.
What were you posting on? Your personal Instagram?
Personal and business, both.
What business?
Overtime.
Overtime.
Yeah, Overtime and Gauntlet. So we were cross promoting that the meals were there.
All 3 of them. Okay.
All 3 of them. Yeah. And then that in turn, it's a little bit more difficult now with social media. It's a lot more out, right? But at the time, one of my trainers could post that I made her food, and she'd call me up and say, hey, I got 2 more for you. 2 more people. Okay. What I didn't realize was the very first day that we launched the meals, we had a beer cooler that we emptied out, and we stuffed it with the meals. We made them in advance, put them in there, printed Avery label stickers, Avery.com, printed the stickers, put them on there, and we put on the tables 1 through 5. 5 items on the menu.
Okay.
My whole approach at the beginning was, I'm going to keep this simple.
Yeah.
5 items on the menu, 5 sauces. That's all I'll ever need. This is going to grow my restaurant. This is going to be the best thing that happened over time. Okay. First lady walks in at 11:01 from a Facebook post. I'm here to pick up this stuff, these overtime healthy meals. She looks at the menu. She says, I'll take 7.
And you go, what?
7? Why would anybody need 7 meals?
1 for each day.
1 for each day.
Yeah.
I was thinking I was going to cook like the lady that we were getting it from, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
You thought Susie was going to come in there
every day and pick up 1 meal, maybe 2, lunch and dinner.
Got it.
My bar customers sitting there at night. Paul, let me see that, the neon board that you normally put $1 beer night. Ours would say Fit 5. Well, move into Fit 5, but just healthy meals available. And so they would, before they'd leave, they'd grab 4 or 5. They'd grab their dinners for the week. I want to start losing weight. I want to start eating right. Well, first you probably should drop the beer, but So that's what allowed me to see that there was a huge opportunity for this.
I tell people this all the time. I told one of the guys in the room, there's got to be a proof of concept in some way, shape, form, or fashion. And it's very, very difficult to start something that you don't know that's going to work.
Absolutely. Unless you're heavily funded.
Yeah. And then at that point, you got partners, or at that point, you got tons of debt.
Yeah.
One of the 2.
Yeah. So I love the stories of starting.
Going.
Yeah. I had an oven. I had a 3,000-4,000 oven. I had a 10x10 walk-in cooler, and I had a staff. I was able to go to and say, hey guys, who wants to work this Sunday? So as it grew, we got to like 250 meals, and then I'd ask the server, what's she doing Sunday? She want to help us. All you're going to do is put broccoli in this container.
That's it.
Then I started learning how to do macros, and I started providing the macros for it. I was $6, $7, $8, $9 a meal at the time.
I remember when you started, because we saw y'all, because we had been doing this for 2 or 3 years before this when we were in Tennessee, and your meals were so inexpensive.
And you thought, what were we doing?
I was like, I thought, how's this freaking guy make any money?
2 ways. One, we had the business, so rent was being paid by the other business, right? So the only additional cost I had was the food and the staff. I had no increased insurance, no increased power bill, anything like that. Yeah. So my fixed costs were a lot different, right? That was the first thing. The second thing was the quick growth. We got to like 1,000 meals a week within 6 weeks, 8 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah, it was like nothing I'd ever had. Like every business I had prior, like I was grinding.
Yeah.
From morning, noon, and night. And
but every business you started, you had started from like zero.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's why, to me, like getting funded and stuff, I like what you were saying earlier, like I love this idea of like, just try it out, just go see if it works first.
So you're at the restaurant, Fit 5 at this point when does it get bigger than the restaurant?
So we named it.
Meaning profit margin.
Profit margin. Okay, so we named it Fit 5 because on 5/5/2017 was when it was official.
Did not know that.
Yeah.
I love that.
5 meals.
Okay.
Under 500 calories. Okay. And the day we did it was Cinco de Mayo. Me and my cousin Ferris, my cousin Chris, my cousin Fu, we're all hanging out in my house together.
Of 17.
On 5/5/17.
That's perfect.
So I
had no idea.
Yeah, my cousin Ferris said it to me. It's Fit 5. We had the name Fit, and then we just started going everywhere with it,
Yeah.
And then it was Fit 5. So I make a social media post about how I'm going to start Fit 5, and this is my next thing that we're going to do here at Overtime. And old friend of mine, his name is Brock Warren.
Yeah.
We always call ourselves, I'm Danny DeVito, he's Arnold Schwarzenegger, he's like 6'7".
Yeah.
I can't stand walking around with the guy.
Yeah.
So he sees my post, he Facebook DMs me, he's call me now, right? And if you know Brock, he's very demanding.
I don't know Brock.
Oh, man.
I've heard of him for 5 years now.
Yeah, he makes you look small.
Yeah.
And you're a big guy.
Wow.
So he calls me up and he says, listen, I'm already kind of doing this.
So Brock owns Elite Nutrition.
Yeah, a little backdrop and dry. He went to Homewood, went to Auburn. He actually lived with some of my high school best friends in college.
Oh.
But he's a year above me. So Brock calls me up. I was in Michigan at the time, and I wasn't engaged yet. I was dating my wife now. And Angela and I are at my family's, and Brock texts me and says, you need to call me. We need to talk, right? And I leave my family, and I'm like, I tell my wife now, I'm like, hey, Brock wants to chat. She's like, you're on vacation. Yeah. Can you not leave? This sounds small business works.
Give me a minute.
Right?
Yeah.
I go outside. Brock says, listen, we need to do this, and we need to do this together. Birmingham's not that big, so we need the partnership. And you have what I don't have. You have the kitchen experience. I have the nutrition experience. I own 3 nutrition stores. I have athletes, customers, I have good clientele coming in. You can literally just sell me the food. That's all you need to do. I can keep your business alive. So we decided 50-50, Fit 5 was made.
Okay, go back. Do you have any partners in Fit 5 at this point, or is it just you?
It was just me in my restaurant. It was just me doing it out of my restaurants by myself.
Perfect. So the guys that own the restaurant with you weren't partners in Fit 5?
Weren't partners in Fit 5.
Good for you. Okay. Yeah. So why did you think that you needed Brock?
So
because you had made, this time, how many meals were you selling a week?
I was getting close to 1,000.
So you're selling 1,000 meals a week. This is where I have a hard time with bringing in somebody. You're selling 1,000 meals a week, and you're not doing a whole lot. You're posting on social media.
And we already had the restaurant, so customers were already coming in. So we were just turning the tabletop around. Hey, this is what we have in our weekly specials.
So why did you think you needed a partner?
So there's a couple things. So financially, the company was in need of, we needed to scale. I was learning that very quickly. I wasn't going to get away with one oven and a walk-in cooler.
Okay.
So I knew I needed more money. At the time, all my money was invested in what I had. I didn't just have cash.
You didn't have cash in it,
no.
Okay.
So that was the first thing, financials. If you know Brock is a straight shooter. He doesn't beat around the bush. He's a hell of a businessman. He sold me in so many ways, with the idea like, hey, I can take another 1,000 meals off your hand. But I'm only going to give you 1,000 meals if we partner, if we do this together. So my 1,000, his 1,000 meals, we're at 2. We're making wave.
Yeah.
So the next thing that Brock offered me was in Hoover, at his Hoover location store in River Chase, right next to Planet Fitness. He said there's a little space in the back of it. Because I was telling him that I was struggling doing it out of
space.
With space.
You were doing everything on Sunday.
We're doing everything on Sunday.
Just like I used to.
Just like you used to, yeah.
Yep.
Okay. I was literally stacking broccoli on top of kegs in the walk-in cooler.
Sure.
That's how the space was fit. I'll never forget that I was having fights. Employees were fighting because the sauce cooler would have Fit 5 sauces that were made with coconut milk instead of buttermilk, right? And then it'd have the overtime sauce. And one day I came in and they got crisscrossed and I texted the entire team and, hey guys, this can't happen, right? And the team from overtime came back to me and says, well, that's your Fit 5 team there, sir. And that's when I knew this place can't exist. And
they can't
they were already button heads.
Yeah.
Okay. So not only was the space, we were taking the bar area up front, putting all the tables together, and that's how we stretched the conveyor belt meal prep stations.
That's how you assembly lined it.
I had two pool tables, and I'd cover them with black tablecloth.
Yeah.
Right? So during NFL Sundays.
This is crazy because when we were like really killing it in Cookeville.
You were doing it the same way?
Well, we didn't have a restaurant. We can go to this later, but we would take tables and put them all together and lay everything out in the middle of the restaurant. This is the same thing we did.
Oh, I
this
remember,
is nuts.
We didn't learn about push carts.
Oh my gosh.
Like we were physically holding, the food going across. So imagine you got girls working for you carrying 20 pounds of green beans. Please don't drop that. That's $80. I can't afford
doubt.
it. So I remember when we got push carts and we were like game changer.
This is
gonna be what takes us to the top.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're there. You partner with Brock. There's a space behind.
There's a space inside of Elite that he was using for storage and for an apparel company he had. He said, it's about to come available. It's 700-800 square feet. Bigger than the kitchen we were in.
Bigger than the kitchen I started in.
So I'm like, dude, you can get this to it? He goes, not only can I get it for us, I'll give it to us super cheap. And it'll operate out of the Elite and that'll be even easier. We start building that building. Okay? The hood comes in. As this is all happening, we're now getting into the high thousands over here at Overtime. Nightmare. Part of my life I like to forget about. Operating all that, the restaurant, the stereo shop, getting the gym off the ground.
Shit, the stereo shop.
Yeah, so all this is happening, right? So we sold the stereo shop. That industry was dying. Cars were coming built with all the stuff.
Did you make any money when you on the set?
When we sold it, I did. Yeah.
Okay.
But everything that I sold, something else came from it. So when I sold the restaurant, when I sold Appearance, I dumped it into Fit 5. When I sold Overtime, I dumped it into the new Gauntlet. Everything I was taught that that never stopped.
Sure.
Just like investing, right? Like you don't pull out of the market today and never put it back in something else.
Yeah.
Okay. So we start. Brock says, "Okay, I have this building over here." So as we're building it, and this is growing over here, we realized the building that we were moving into Hoover wasn't big enough. Brock calls the landlord up.
You realized, praise God, you realized it before.
Before, the only thing that was in was a hood.
Okay, it's still expensive.
The walk-in was on its way. The walk-in was already there. It wasn't put up.
Wow.
And Brock calls the landlord, and the landlord says, man, you just signed this lease. I don't really know what I can do for you. Maybe if something becomes available for you in this big shopping center, we can make something work. So we make it happen. We're building it out. Walk-in cooler, 10-foot hood.
So you continue to go forward with this small space?
Yeah, we had to. We signed a lease. Everything's going in. Landlord comes up to and says, you know what? Behind this wall, concrete blocks, he says, I have a warehouse back here. I use it for storage. I'll let you have, I think he said, I'll let you have like 500 square feet of it. We're like, that's it. That's all we need. Yeah. Why would we ever need more than 500 square feet? Knowing 500 square feet is now saying you worked out of a 400 feet. You're like, what, 500 square feet? Why would you even do that? So we moved we opened up that back door, busted through the wall, literally. When I mean busted, we had some Spanish guys come that worked for us and plaster this wall down.
Wow.
Okay? We put the walk-in cooler in the back, a big one. Brock, I promise you, me being the food guy and owning a restaurant, that's all we need. This 10 by 12 cooler will change the game for us. We build out the back space. That was our dry storage. Okay. And then you had the walk-in, and then that was the kitchen. Walk through the front.
So you've got 1,300 square feet.
We have 1,300 square feet at this point. Here we are today, 2023. We have 10,000 square feet.
Okay, so this is a long road. Where's your kitchen now?
My kitchen now is still in that position in Hoover.
We just kept
going. Year over year, the landlord, he never wanted to give us the whole thing because he needed it for storage. We'd call him up and say, well,
I need another 1,000 feet.
Or we got to go. We have no choice. We've outgrown this. We started looking at buying buildings around town. The problem with that, the boom of like downtown, the problem with that was like none of them had a restaurant. So, okay, we buy this building, get us a great deal on a building, but we need $500,000 for a restaurant.
$200,000 or $300,000 to build out.
Minimum.
On the low end.
On the low end, yeah. So, at this point, we've had multiple walk-in coolers, right? So one by one, we took down a wall and we went. We went from 1,300 to 23 to 4 to 7 to during COVID, 2022, we said,
give us all
time's up. Give us the whole thing.
Okay, go back to COVID. So,
you want to really?
See, did your meal prep business go down?
First couple months, and then it went right back up. That was the catapult, a big part of it.
During COVID.
During COVID. Yeah.
What happened?
The beginning of it was not fun.
What happened there?
So
what catapulted you guys?
So what catapulted us was that restaurants, people, everybody was gearing towards, we were getting a lot of catering phone calls of like nurses, doctors saying, hey, I need you to provide food. I have 5 conditions. The meal needs to be refrigerated. Mm-hmm. I don't want hot food.
Easy.
We already do that.
Yeah.
I need the meal to be in containers.
Easy.
I already do that.
Sweet.
I need the meals to be delivered. Guess what? We have refrigerated trucks.
You did then, yeah.
Yeah, we did then. Yeah, we had our first one.
Okay.
No problem. Right. Number 4, nurses prefer to eat healthier.
Great.
I got you covered, boss.
Yeah.
So there was things like Lindsay Lutz, if you know Lindsay, Life Flood Source. Lindsay reached out and says, hey, I'm raising money.
I remember this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she says, I've raised money and we need food. So we saw that opportunity and multiple people started calling us with that same issue. An insurance agent whose insurance wasn't losing any money at that time because they were still collecting. So I had insurance agents call us like, hey, I've got a group of 50. I want to help out. Can you cook their meals for them? So that's kind of that's what kept us going, right? It was paying the bills.
Because the gyms were shut down.
Gyms were shut down. So our model was built off of dropping them off at a gym.
Us too.
We weren't doing home delivery at the time.
See, in Tennessee, we started doing home delivery, but when I moved here, I realized I knew that was not, I couldn't do that in Birmingham. Like it wasn't
for what
it wasn't a viable option for us. Like it wasn't going to work.
Yeah, home delivery cost us about $200K.
It does.
To launch it.
Y'all are doing home delivery now.
We do home delivery now, yeah. We had to buy multiple refrigerated trucks, other vehicles to be able to drive. We had to staff to home deliver, packaging, all that changed. So it costs about $200,000 in the long run.
So I remember so let's go back to this. After COVID, that kind of, what there? So you started home delivery.
Yep.
You've got refrigerated trucks. Where are you at right? So this is a transition from COVID. So from COVID to now, where's the business at? You got 10,000 square feet. Your kitchen's larger than mine. Like where are you at right now with Fit 5?
So Fit 5 now, we do about 25,000 meals a month. Wow. We deliver them all across the state of Alabama. So we go Huntsville, Tuscaloosa, Montgomery, all the way down to Auburn, Columbus, Georgia.
Wow.
Next move for Fit 5, expansion on the home delivery. So we just currently do Central Birmingham, but we want to go out with home delivery. Possible shipping, maybe. That one's tough because you got to go frozen and we want to stay fresh.
Yeah.
I'd say next up would be either we make our way towards Nashville, we make our way towards Atlanta, and just start executing out. Hell City, Gadsden, Anniston.
Moving one way or the other, because you're already in Huntsville. What was the biggest challenge as far as the moving to other markets?
So the biggest challenge in general was I'd never had a business this big. So like being able to pull the trigger on the scale of this, right?
So everything though, but the hub is here in Birmingham. So you don't have a kitchen in Huntsville. You don't have a kitchen in those other places.
That's our secret.
Everything's
right? That's the secret to meal prepping versus restaurants.
Yeah.
To catering.
Well, it's like I tell people all the time, I don't want to own a restaurant because everything that I do, I've already got money
paid for in advance. You get paid for in advance, and then you don't see the customer. So I don't have to worry about front house. I'm back house only.
I never thought of that, but that's a great.
You don't have to worry about worst case scenario. 5 people don't show up today.
Yeah.
Right. It's just get the food done.
It's just harem. It's just harem scarum at that point.
That's it.
So, in your culture, work is extremely important, but so is family. So you're kind of getting. You made the mention earlier about being a little bit ostracized by not being 26, 27 years old and not being married.
Yeah.
Okay. So you've worked your face off all these years, extreme amount of success. Now you're married. Now you've got 2 kids. So I remember the journey of like you having the first one. I remember because I was really good friends with Ari and you and I touched base a little bit. And then now you've got 2. Talk to me about the little difference in lifestyle from just being married to now married, the largest business I've ever owned, and 2 kids. How does that work?
So the first change was schedule. So I started getting up at 3:30 in the morning.
Yep.
Started getting my work day done by 10 a.m.
Okay.
Every day, Monday through Friday. That was what I had to do.
Sure.
I was getting nowhere. I wasn't checking boxes off. I wasn't getting any of my task sheet done.
Yeah.
Because I did not understand how much time kids took.
Oh yeah.
Right? I'd been on my own my whole life. I lived with my grandmother, and then I had my own place. I hadn't lived at home in years. I had no idea what kids do, and so I changed my schedule up. started getting up earlier, getting everything done. I come home, my whole day, other than being by my phone, is done by about 10:30, 11 o'clock. And I spend my afternoon with my kid.
So you go home, you're home at lunchtime every day?
Every day, Monday through Friday.
So how many employees do you have right now?
Fit 5 has 22. Gauntlet has 5. Elite, Brock and them have 5. And then we have the real estate company, Shunnarah Development.
So from a real estate, what are you doing?
So over the years,
we'll do that later.
Okay.
So with the kids, you got a 2-year-old and a 13-week-old.
Yeah.
What is the most fun thing that you do? Your go-to activity with your 2-year-old?
Well, my 2-year-old,
Yeah.
Oh man, he's gotten into swimming.
Okay.
So getting in the pool. We got a little inflatable bounce house, like the ones that Sam's has.
Yeah.
So you remember when we were growing up, an inflatable was like a big deal.
Big deal.
Now they sell them at Walmart.
Yeah.
So we got a little inflatable. I love getting inside that thing with them. I love taking them to these little trampoline parks.
So y'all have got one that you can just go.
Just a little one, probably the size of the stage. But I love taking them. There's a place called Altitude in Pelham. It has a little toddler section, and then has the adult side of the trampoline park. And I'm 5'5".
Yeah.
So like I literally go up the thing.
Go in everything.
Yeah. He thinks it's the biggest. He thinks it's
the best thing ever. So talk to me about your wife. How does your wife? What's you and your wife's relationship like as far as from the business standpoint? And like, what does she do for a living? What does she do for a living?
So she's a clinical therapist. She sees children with OCD and anxiety.
Okay, so she does that. So she works a 40-hour week.
No, not anymore. No.
Okay, what does she do now?
So she does, but she still works that. She just doesn't work that many hours anymore. So she was at UAB.
Okay.
And then we found a firm out of Auburn. So a practice where the lady was just because of telehealth.
Yeah.
So now she sees patients via telehealth upstairs in our office.
At your house.
At home. She does about 15 to 20 patients a week.
That's incredible. She love it?
Oh yeah, I love it.
How involved, because I get this question all the time, how involved is your wife in any of the businesses that you guys do?
Very little.
Me too. Does she understand any of it?
My Uncle Freddie, my Uncle Fuad, Shunnarah, he taught me one of the very first conversations he had with him before I was even dating. He said, let your family be your family, let your business be your business. And you'll never separate the two if you come home and give it all to your wife, right? So
That's
if I come home and I complain to her about how Thomas was at work today, how Brock did this to me, how my employee did that, one, you're giving your wife a perception of your employees, which I don't want them having. I want my wife to see my employees and my team as family and as a team. So I wanted her to build her own understanding of how they work. Yeah. So I tried not to go home and complain about them.
That's great.
The other thing was my wife didn't come from like the small business world. So like so many things when we first met, like why are you picking up your phone at 8 o'clock? Why are you staring at your Instagram messages? Can't you pay people to do that?
Yeah.
So that was the stuff that that was the humps we had to get over. She went to U of M, graduated multiple degrees, super smart, super sweet, super genuine. I saw her from 25 feet away at a conference in New York and messaged her.
That's incredible. See, my wife is not involved at all. And I think, but she has her own deal, just like your wife. My wife's a volleyball coach. And
she does that.
She does that. I will ask her, because I think that women need to process and get things out. So I'll ask her and say, tell me about this. And it doesn't bother me that she doesn't do this, but she does very rarely ask about meal fit, table and time, any of the things that we...
She doesn't say, how's it going?
She does, but it's very...
To an extent.
She's doing it, and she hears me say this, she'll hate it, but she checks the box as far as just checking in with me. But she really doesn't want to know the nitty-gritty details of the fact that this went wrong or this went great or we made lots of money doing here or that. She doesn't care. And it's fine that she doesn't care, because for her, getting in the weeds of that, it's not going to make anything better or anything worse. So she doesn't really want to get involved and doesn't want to know and understand. And because when I get home, bro,
you don't want to talk about it.
I want to talk about it. Because
it just riles you up.
Here's what I've done a better job of the last 2 years, which sounds like you're doing a great job at it now. I get up at that time, but the first part of my day is on just me, and then I get home.
You're reading,
exercising, all that good stuff, and then I get home between 3 and 4, 4:30, whatever. I don't really work after that, though. I hate working at home. I don't want to do it because I don't want to see my kids to see that all Daddy does when he's at home is work. And so I try.
Yeah, that was my grow up.
Yeah.
Was watching our dads work. till 9, 10 o'clock at night. Not even
I didn't want to do that. So, hey, this has been unbelievable. And I think that we need to do another one to kind of go deeper into the business stuff, because there's real estate stuff I want to talk about.
Yeah.
There's more of the business stuff that I want to talk about, and just all those different things. So before we leave, where can people find you? What's the best way to get with you, whether it be on the gym, Fit 5, real estate stuff? What's the best way to find you?
Instagram is probably the most popular thing that I'm on. Bullis P. Shunnarah on Instagram. BOULOS. So that's my real name. I go by Paul.
I did not know that.
Yeah, my real name's Bullis.
Yeah.
I started going by Paul because of business. It was easier years ago.
Yeah.
Then you got, you can find at Fit 5 Meals at Gauntlet Fitness, our website, fit5meals.com, gauntletfitness.com. Shunnarah Development is not, on a social level. It's a back house thing that we do in our family with development, property, and so forth.
Exactly what we want to talk about the next time we're here. So, hey, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Sir. All right.